Hello, welcome back to the Painted Mini. My name is Travis, and today we're going to take a look at Earthborne Rangers, which is a cooperative LCG that has not only some very innovative mechanics, but a pretty unique approach to gameplay itself. So let's see if this is something that appeals to you. In Earthborne Rangers, we're in the future, and in order to prevent cataclysmic climate disasters, the world is pulled together and undergone feats of engineering and biology and chemistry, and set forth these projects to where the Earth will begin to heal. However, it's going to take a long time, and they basically have just created these arcologies during this period. So this is a multi-generational time period of healing for the Earth where eventually we are able to venture back out. And once we venture back out, it's been generations and generations, and we're in a somewhat unfamiliar landscape that has been dotted with the machinery left by our ancestors who have saved us. And we, the players in the game, are rangers. And very much what the classic term implies, we are going around, we are visiting communities, we are sort of liaisons between the flora, the fauna, the communities, and we are problem solvers. We are providing solutions, checking in on well-being of people, and just trying to help. We are trying to be helpful. This is a very positive game, very utopian, which is a nice change. So, thematically, it's science fiction, but it's in a regressive technology future. And we are just starting to come out and sort of learning to live in balance with this world. So thematically, that's pretty much it. Mechanically, this is a cooperative game, and you can have between 1 to 4 players who are venturing out together as a group, and the structure of the game is probably the most interesting thing in that it's very much an open world sandbox. There are little missions you can go on and little things you can discover that will give you direction, but for the most part, this game is not about defeating a boss. It's not about getting to a specific place. It's about exploring the world and discovering this world. I think, if anything, there is no win condition. You just play to discover and develop your character, develop your ranger. So it is a sort of a campaign progressive thing where you're leveling up, you're acquiring new things, new talents, new skills, but it's really about meeting people and experiencing the world around you. And it does have a bit of a draw. So I found I played a couple of things. I went through the initial campaign, which is just sort of the learning prologue. And it's one of these things that you do think about and you want to go back to, and you want to, hey, let's, keep going. Let's see what's in that next area. And some things are very interesting and very engaging, and some things get to feel a little bit repetitive and sort of lackluster. But I'm very early in this, so I wanted to go through and film a little bit and walk you through some of this. So let me go ahead. I'm going to set it up for the prologue, and I'll start back with the prologue and run you through it just so you know how to set it up. And we'll kind of go through some of the basic rules as we play and go from there. All right, I got a couple of things that aren't exactly part of the retail edition. This is like a little Valley Trail map with commentary by Aren Kobo, which is very much like a national park trail map with commentary. So this is completely unnecessary. It's a nice map, and it's got separate little areas mapped out on it with the trail commentary, but as you can see, the game comes with a map. Now, it's not quite as big, but it's pretty much made out of the same material. Let's see here. It's give you an idea of the difference in scale there. And this is actually the part of the map that you end up referencing a lot in the game. So my Kickstarter edition does come with the trail map, and I also have the component upgrades. So I have the nice wooden energy tokens, and I have the dice, which are used as resource counters instead of all of the cardboard tokens. I also have the miniatures, which really just replace these little tokens. We'll see that mechanic as we play the game. Again, absolutely unnecessary. These are reclaimed pewter, and I think I'll enjoy painting them up eventually. They're kind of cool, but again, completely unnecessary. And we have, this is a rule book. Good quality, well printed. 46 pages. And quick reference on the back. This is the Lure of the Valley. This is a campaign guide for this particular campaign. It starts off with a prologue adventure, which I think we're going to run through, and then it releases you into the game itself. But these are entries that you flip to and reference throughout gameplay. This on the back is your campaign tracker, which you can use to record your progress from game to game and reset. In between sessions, you can also just print those out from their website. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set us up here for the prologue campaign. Okay, as you're going through, it guides you here in the getting started section. It gives you the choice, either do the prologue or dive right into the game. For the prologue, it just says go to page 2 of the campaign guide. And that is the very beginning of it. It says, welcome to the prologue to the Lure of the Valley campaign for Earthborne Rangers. Playing this prologue is optional, but if you're new to the game, recommend that you do. Okay, it also recommends that you still read the rule book, maybe watch the video. At least have one person do that in your group. Keep the rule book close at hand for reference. But here we go. I'm going to start reading this off. Imagine a low fire burning in the pre-dawn light. Imagine you're wrapped in a warm cloak, breathing cool mountain air. You smell the smoke from the fire and the rich scent of pine. Last night you swore your oaths to the ancestors, to the elders, and to the spirit of the valley. The sun begins to rise on your first day as a ranger, a caretaker of the land and a friend to its people. As you watch, Elder Thrush retrieves her condenser kettle from a low branch, checks the water level, then places it onto the fire. As the water rises to boil, Calypso, the ranger who has mentored you for the past 9 months, sets about crushing dried marrow leaf for tea in plain carbon-forged cups. Once it's ready, she hands you a cup. Steam pours off of it. It smells of the forest. Calypso raises her cup. To your true self, she drinks, and you follow suit. The tea invigorates you, warmth spreading throughout your body. It feels amazing. Your eyes are drawn to the flame. As you watch, your eyes unfocus. You hear the voices of your ancestors. You can feel them with you. You can feel their support and their love. You hear them speak, and they remind you of your best qualities, the person you truly are. Who are you? You'll begin by choosing aspect cards. Going clockwise around the table, each player will choose one aspect card until everyone has one. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pull a few things here. What these cards are, these give you your energy aspects. So you have awareness, spirit, fitness, and focus. The most you can have is 3, 2, and 1 is the least. There's a card with every combination pretty much. So awareness, let's go through these real quick. Think about what types of things you would like your ranger to be able to do well. Your aspects, especially your high and low aspects, have a significant impact on how your ranger interacts with the game world. If you'd like to be able to hike swiftly through the valley, or if you'd like to be able to defend yourself against a dangerous predator with a hand weapon, you should avoid the fitness, which is the red. If you'd like to be able to easily converse and get along with the people of the valley, or if you want to form deep connections with the natural world, you should choose spirit, which is the yellow. If you'd like to be able to adeptly avoid the valley's many dangers and easily explore the environment, you should choose awareness, which is the green. Lastly, if you'd like to be able to expertly solve a multitude of problems and handle situations which require either great concentration or great insight, or both, you should choose focus, which is blue. So for my character, I went with a high spirit, equal medium amounts of awareness and fitness, and sort of a low focus. Again, you can choose any combination pretty much. Once that's done, it says choose a player to be the lead ranger. The lead ranger walks at the front of your hiking formation as you explore the valley's many footpaths, so they will encounter a higher rate of both dangers and boons than the rest of the group. They also make decisions for the group if it can't reach a consensus. So beginning with the lead ranger, you choose your aspect card, go around. It also kind of comes into play the turn order because you have along the path or along the way, which is sort of slightly distant from you, and then you have within reach, which is very close to your particular ranger. So the along the path is sort of a communal area that anybody can interact with, and within reach is within reach of each individual, which is a closer area. Kind of reminds me of the way that the Lord of the Rings living card game is set up. It says, beginning with the lead ranger, choose an aspect card, place it in front of you. Then that player to your left does the same. Find the personality card set and separate them by aspect, awareness, fitness, focus, and spirit. These should be a total of 8 cards for each aspect, 2 copies in each of 4 unique colors. What these are the cards right here. So this one it gives you these little symbols here, and these symbols are very much like in the Arkham Horror card game, where you can either use them for one-time challenge test to boost your chances, or you can play the card for its greater ability. Some of the cards don't even have a greater ability. The ones that have double symbols typically don't. But you can see here, this one does. It says, after you succeed at a test in which you commit this attribute, you may suffer 1 fatigue to gain an energy. So this kind of has an additional ability, but it's less powerful if you're just spending it for the attributes. There's also a little bit of a regulation here on which cards you can include for your character. These have a limit, so you can only take this one. It says 2 awareness here on the side, 2 AWA, if you have at least 2 awareness on your aspect card. 1 fitness, 2 focus, which you can see here, don't have, so we wouldn't be able to have that card. You can see that a lot of your deck is just going to be made up of these. Okay, so we have our aspects. Out of the awareness cards, each player is going to choose 5 sets, and each card has 2 total, so it's sets of 2. And you'll choose 5 of the sets, make sure that you meet the threshold requirements, and then that will be the beginning of your deck. So you'd go through. So these are your personality cards. You put them. We're going to shuffle them up. Okay, so you basically go through and grab 2 of each. 2 fitness, 2 awareness, 2 focus, 2 spirit. So you'll have 8 total of the personality cards. Shuffle them up and put them face down. That'll begin the deck. It says place a number of energy tokens equal to your ranger's aspect values on the aspect cards. So that's what these are. So we have 2 for awareness, 1 focus, 3 for spirit, 2 for fitness. It says now we'll set up the play area, beginning with a location where you'll start your journey, which is Ancestors Grove. So I'm going to look through the locations here and find Ancestors Grove. It's right there. Let's go ahead. It tells us to pull out Boulder Field and Lone Tree Station as well. So Ancestors Grove, Lone Tree Station, Boulder Field. It says find the Woods Path card set, shuffle these cards and place them face down beside the Ancestors Grove location. All right. Okay, so path cards. Okay, path cards are cards that correspond to certain locations in the game. So if we look here on our map, you can see that between each of these locations, there is a trail, a pathway. They're all color-coded. And there's an icon. You can check the legend down here, and it tells us that this green trail with the forest icon is woods. So go to, that's the graphic for the path deck. We go and find the one that has the wood symbol in the corner. And we would simply shuffle this up. And we set it beside the location that we are currently traveling at. Okay, we're going to find the perfect day weather card. That tells us what kind of weather we have. A recent calm suffuses your being as you step into the Ancestors' Grove. Each of the trees, from the smallest sapling to the towering giant to the grove's center, has been planted over the final resting place of a loved one. You must move with care through the grove. You see several people, some keeping to themselves, some speaking softly, some bearing gifts, all here to commune with those who have passed. You pause and give thought to your ancestors. Search the path deck for the next prey and put it into play. So we're looking right here as prey, Sitka Doe. And let me get this out of the way. This is our player deck. Okay, if we look at the card here, it's got a down arrow. That tells us that it's going to go within reach of the ranger who drew it, which is us. So let me kind of set up my area a little bit here. I'm going to have my actual play area. And then within reach is going to be right here. So this will be within reach. Right here I'll leave a little bit of space. That'll be along the trail. Okay, so the Sitka Doe pops in here. Nothing happens. There's no text for when it arrives. We have a couple of things to look at. This is the presence of the animal. It'll come into play when we're trying to interact with a card that's further away. It'll sort of fatigue us because we're having to work around this obstacle or this situation. The red tends to be how much exertion, physical attack or exertion you would need to scare this animal off or to shoo it away. And this one is how much you need to communicate usually through nonviolent means, to convince it, to persuade it to go away. So this is just sort of interacting, and this is sort of aggressively interacting. And we'll look at different options for that. We do have an ability here on the card. It's basically saying that we can use our spirit plus this symbol to shoo, and to shoo away the skittish grazer, to move this being. And to move it, it would move from wherever it's at to the other area. So it can just kind of go back and forth. All right, and we'll worry about these challenge results when they happen. Your eyes refocus and Calypsa smiles warmly. It is time, she says. As of this morning, I am no longer your mentor. Like you, I am a ranger. She speaks briefly with Elder Thrush, douses the fire, then turns to you. We will travel from here to the boulder field. I'll stay back and follow your lead. Your goal this round is to travel from Ancestors Grove to Boulder Field. If you're unable to do so, that's all right. The prologue will continue. Let's take a look at our map here just to kind of see where we are. We are at Ancestors Grove. We're traveling to Boulder Field, and our goal is to travel to Boulder Field, which we can see is along a wooded path, so through the woods. It says on the common test card, you'll find the traverse test, which is right here. It's the red fitness one we looked at. During this round, you can use the test to place progress on the Ancestors Grove location card. Once there's enough progress on Ancestors Grove, you'll be able to travel to Boulder Field. Our only options right now are we can try to shoo away the doe. We can do a fitness test to try to place progress on Ancestors Grove. This represents us getting to Ancestors Grove. And because Ancestors Grove, it has a 4 and an R. The R means per ranger. Because it's just me playing one player, I only need to put 4 progress on it. If it was me and somebody else, we'd have to put 8. We can use our spirit to connect with this animal. And to do that, we could use spirit in any heart icons we have. And that would move this number up. Once we've met either one of these 2 thresholds, the card basically goes away. We could also focus to remember your training. And this allows us to scout ranger cards, which is what allows us to go through our deck and draw cards that we can then use. We also have an awareness, which we could use to exhaust a being. So notice the Sitka Doe is a being. If we exhaust it, 1, it shuts off any abilities it would have that could trigger. It also shuts off the presence so that if we went to interact, we wouldn't have to worry about this, which essentially would keep us from being fatigued, which is the main timer in the game. It sort of, you play until all of your cards are fatigued, and then that ends the day. Let's do this. We're going to try a focus first. So we only have 1. Commit 1, and then we end up flipping this card. It's +1 focus, so that's 2. That allows us scout ranger cards equal to your effort, then draw 1 ranger card. So scout means we get to see 2 cards. We can then put these on either the top or the bottom. Looking at the symbol here, we could use this to avoid a creature. It's also what we need to shoo a creature away. Let's say, but this one allows us, you may suffer 1 fatigue to gain 1 energy of any type. For now, I'm going to say we put both of these on the bottom, and then we draw a card. There we go. Okay, the other thing that happens is whatever symbol is on the bottom here, it would trigger any cards that have that symbol. Like here we have the sun, mountain. The other one here is this, looks like a bird. We don't have any showing, so nothing happens. This just gets discarded. Okay, so we had 1 test. Let's do awareness 2 plus 2. Let's go ahead and spend it to exhaust the being. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. That's way more than we need. X is equal to the presence of the card. We only needed 1, so we've overkilled. We exhaust the being. So now this would trigger. Again, nothing triggers. The symbol here means that we would have to shuffle. Okay, now we've gotten this out of the way. So now we can interact with this without having any fatigue. What would happen if we didn't exhaust that is any card between us and the card we're interacting with, we'd have to take the amount of presence and basically exhaust that many of our cards. So for this case, if this weren't tapped, we'd have to exhaust 1. And again, that's just the mechanism for when we'd have to end the day. Right now, our deck is so small that that'd be pretty bad. So we don't have to worry about it since we exhausted him. So now what we want to do is want to spend our 2 fitness. We don't have any of the traverse symbol. So we just do another test. 2 plus 0 is 0. That gives us 2 counters. And it is a sun. So choose a card from your ranger discard. Place it on top of your fatigue stack. That is actually okay. So this goes to our fatigue stack, which is actually a good thing because there are ways to get cards from your fatigue into your hand so that you can play them. All right. And last thing, I don't think we can communicate since he's exhausted. We would enter turn here. Okay, so we finished taking our turn, and now we are going to just continue with the book as it says. As you walk beneath the shade of a long-limbed oak, you think back to your youth, living and playing in the villages and the wild spaces of the valley. A light breeze cools your skin, and it conjures a memory of your apprenticeship. You had finished your first day's work, sweat cooling on your skin, overlooking the silver fin, its water sparkling with the colors of sunset. You stood at a moment of promise. Now, as a newly sworn ranger, you stand at another, buoyed by the lessons learned in your youth. Okay, now that you have a sense of how you interact with the game, it's time to choose your background. Your background represents the formative years of your ranger's life, where they grew up, their occupation, how they spent their time before they took on the greater responsibilities in the valley. All right, so there are 4 backgrounds. There's artisan, forager, shepherd, and traveler. And each of those contains 18 cards, 2 copies of each of 9 unique cards. So what you do is you're going to choose 5 sets of 2 from the background that you select. There's a nice area in the book here toward the back that gets into all of the cards for each of the backgrounds. So you got artisan, forager, shepherd, and traveler. And the next one we'll have to pick is the specialty, which represents jobs that you've worked. And it does cards. Makes it easy to kind of reference those. So let's take a look here at what I ended up with. And once again, just like before, all of these have a requirement based on the amounts of your aspect energies. So, for instance, I only have 1 focus, so I could only have a 1 focus for a blue. 2 awareness. The rest are all good. So I went with a couple of cool things. I got a bird that is actually a companion, and he can basically wound other beings that are in the same area as him. He also allows me to send him out and survey the landscape. So I can basically scout path cards and set up the deck to be more beneficial. Also have a sheepdog that I can use to literally shepherd animals and sort of not only move them, but every time I move them, I am adding influence onto their cards. So that's kind of nice. He gets exhausted when I do that. I can then do a fitness to pet him, which not only does it ready him, but it also soothes a fatigue. And that's the mechanic that I was mentioning, where you can take a fatigue, and when you soothe it, it goes into your hand and you can then spend it. So that's all very cool. Notice all of these have those single-use symbols that you could use. If you choose to play a card, you have to spend the cost in energy, which is up in the corner. This one is Calming Presence. It basically removes the predator keyword from a card. We'll probably see some cool interactions between predator and prey. Healing Touch. If I heal an animal, it adds influence to that animal. I could also just take this and heal one injury from a ranger instead of using it on a being. Okay, so I've chosen these. They get shuffled in. And now our deck is a little bit bigger. It says, you pause to drink some water from your canteen. Voluminous clouds drift lazily overhead. You see Calypso emerge from the trees and walk down the trail toward you. Let's walk together for a while, she says. I need to share some last bits of wisdom with you. It may be some time until our paths cross again out here in the wild. It says, before you build the rest of your deck, we'll continue playing, this time using only your ranger's personality cards and background cards. Okay. So proceed to the refresh phase. Instead of drawing just one card, draw 6 as you would at the beginning of a game. So our deck is now right here. So we would go to refresh. We can see here, refresh, ready all cards. Each ranger regains all energy and draws one ranger card. So ready all cards. So that would stand up. Instead of drawing the one card, we're actually going to draw 6. This is our hand of cards. It says, search the valley set for Calypso, Ranger Mentor. Put her in a play within reach of a ranger of your choice. Don't read her campaign entry during this prologue, however. Your goal for this round is to clear Calypso by placing sufficient progress tokens on her. Let's see, Calypso, Ranger Mentor. Normally we would read 85, entry 85, when we bring her out. She has a downward arrow, so she would come down here within reach, just alongside our doe here. She has 2 presents. If we wanted to fight her, it would take 4 to defeat her. We can't fight her because she is friendly. That also means that if we were to interact with our location card, her presence wouldn't count as fatigue against us. Anything with a friendly keyword doesn't interfere. If we wanted to clear her through peaceful means, it would take 3 per ranger. And then it says clear. Either way, we'd go to 85 again. All right, so let's go ahead and do a round or two here. So each ranger draws 1 path card. So we take another card, and it comes down, again, within reach. This is Sunberry Bramble. It's a feature, it's flora, and it's food. For awareness, we can pluck the thorn ring fruit to add 1 damage to this feature and soothe 2 fatigue. If you fail, this feature fatigues you. Okay, so if we had fatigue, this would help us get rid of it. And then we have some interaction text here. Okay, we could also clear this by interacting, connecting, and spinning 3, or we could just attack it if we had a means of doing that to destroy it. The only reason we'd want to clear it, because this does have sort of a beneficial thing, is because it is interfering with us putting more progress. If we wanted to connect with our mentor to clear her, we wouldn't have to worry about any of this other presence fatiguing us or interfering with us in any way, because they're at the same level. It's only when things are further away. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and try to connect with her. So I'm going to spend 3. We could spend more. We could spend some of this. since we need 3, I'm going to go ahead and spend these 2 as well. So that's going to be 5 committed. 3 plus 2 is a total of 5. And we flip. Plus 1 is 6. So that's more than enough. So she would be cleared. This goes into our discard. Okay, so now let me read what it says. And that was the last time I went swimming near a latrinal holt. You and Calypso share a laugh. She takes the hem of your cloak between her thumb and forefinger and nods solemnly. You are now a ranger of the valley, she says. You are charged with protecting its people and lending aid to any in need. But while you do, take care to look out for each other. Your fellow rangers will need you, and you will need them. She steps back and smiles. It's time to return to Lone Tree Station. I must go by a different route. But I will see you there. Says return Calypso, Mentor Ranger, to the Valley set. Okay, well, she goes back to the Valley. Okay. Now that you've had an opportunity to try out some cards from your background set, it's time to choose your specialty. Your Ranger specialty represents your recent past. Before we do that, we're going to finish the turn off. We did a test, and then we have our challenge icon here. So now this will be interesting. So anything that has this mountain icon is going to trigger. This one says, if this test added progress, add 1 additional progress. It did, but we didn't need any additional, so it wouldn't matter. If there is an active predator, exhaust it, add damage to this being equal to that predator's presence. So if there was an active predator, it would have attacked the doe, damaged it, and then the predator would be exhausted. If there's an active prey, exhaust it. There is, so this one does get exhausted. Add progress to it and damage to this feature, both equal to that prey's presence, which is 1. So let's do this. Our doe, who's just grazing around looking to feed, is working toward being satiated here. Once reaches that threshold, the doe would just go away. And the damage is it's expended some of that berry or that bramble by eating it. So if it eats 1 more, the bramble's gone. So we have a lot of cool interactions going on sort of in and around us as we play the game. Okay, so now we're supposed to look at our specialties. There's Artificer, Conciliator, Explorer, and Shaper. So Artificers are sort of your tinkerers. They create gadgets and technology. Conciliators are really good at dealing with people. Explorers, really good with the landscape. And Shapers are sort of like your magic users. They have some rule-breaking abilities. Each specialty set contains 26 cards, 2 copies each of 12 unique cards, plus 2 roll cards. And then you go through and you choose a total of 5 unique cards, 2 copies of each from your specialty set, plus 1 roll card, which does not get shuffled into the deck. Okay, regardless of your current location, Ancestors Grove or Boulderfield, your goal this round is to travel to Lone Tree Station. If you're able to travel at the end of a round, travel to Lone Tree Station and complete the prologue. I chose Explorer as my specialty. And I chose A Leaf in the Breeze. When you traverse, you can dodge up to 3 cards. I have an Orlin Hiking Staff, which I can exhaust to add progress to a trail, or I can strike and use it as a weapon. I have a Boundary Sensor, which is an exhaust. When a ranger performs a traverse test, I can commit 1 effort. And again, here you can see that there's counters that pop onto these. This one has 4 sensors. This one is Breathe into it. When you perform a test, discard any number of cards from your fatigue stack to commit 1 effort to that test for every 2 cards discarded in this way. So if you have a stack of fatigue, you can at least use those cards for tests. I have a phonoscopic headset. When a ranger scouts, increase the number of cards scouted by 1. It kind of makes up for our lack of ability here. And then this is the roll card I chose. And her special ability is when you perform a test, dodge 1 card. She can do that each round. She can exhaust to do that. So now the way this looks is she just goes there. I take a little mini and stick it on top. Doesn't really come into play yet. This is my hand. I'm going to reshuffle all of these now that we have more cards. All of these will get shuffled. So now our deck is getting a little bit more robust. So we won't be fatigued quite as fast. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our deck goes there. Our hand of cards. Okay. Now, path card. Each ranger draws a path card. Well, we got to refresh. Ready, all cards. Reset all energy. Okay, and then because it says refresh here, discard 1 cloud. So we take it down to 1 cloud left. And it says if there are no clouds remaining, flip the card. So our perfect day is going to get a little less perfect. Okay, and then we go back to each ranger draws 1 path card. Put this on top. So our path card, there we go. Here's a prowling wolfhound. He's a being, he's a predator, he's a mammal. He's got 2 presents. He comes into play along with everything else within reach. It says if there is another predator in play, this predator comes into play exhausted. There's not. And right now he's just hanging out. He doesn't do anything yet. So we'll have to deal with him. Or, you know, maybe he'll just eat the dough. Who knows, who knows. Problem is now if we wanted to put progress to travel and get through Ancestors' Grove, we have 2, 3, 4 points of exhaustion that we would have to expend, which is way too much. All right, let's do this. This might be worth doing here. So here, for our action, it says a leaf breeze. This is a moment, which is kind of like an event card in a lot of other games where it just happens and goes away. But in order to spin it, we have to spin an awareness. Response. When you traverse, dodge up to 3 cards. So now our next thing will be to traverse. So we spin 2, plus we could use both of these. Let's just use 1. I'm going to commit 1 of these. So that's 2 plus 1 is 3. And then this is going to flip 0. So 3 total. And this allows us to dodge up to 3 cards. So we can ignore all 3 of these cards. We don't have to fatigue anything. All right. So we had 3 total traverse. That's going to put this on 5. So now we've exceeded our threshold, which means after we take our ranger turns, we could choose to travel if we wanted to. But we're not done yet. This initiates. It says if you have 3 or more fatigue, exhaust this being and suffer 1 energy. Suffer 1 injury. We don't have any fatigue yet, so that doesn't happen. We still have a lot of energy here. We could do some stuff. Let's spin 2 to put our dog out. He's friendly and persistent and unique. We can exhaust him to move a being and add 2 to it. We exhaust. We're going to move this being. So he moves from the area he's in up to the other area. Make a little more room here. And it puts 2. I'm going to do focus and remember to scout the ranger deck. So focus of 1 plus 1 is 2. That means I get to see 2 cards. Lots of hearts. Before you commit this attribute, you may suffer 1 fatigue. I'm just going to go with the 2 hearts. I'm going to put this one on the bottom. Actually, I'm going to put both of these on the bottom. And then I get 1 card. There we go. This is a really good one. It prevents damage, but I don't have the focus now to play it. And then this triggers. So, ready another Prowling Wolfhound. There isn't one, so it doesn't ready. If there are 1 or more Sitka bucks in play, they are drawn to the doe. Move each Sitka buck within reach. There are no Sitka bucks, just the 1 doe. And that's it for the sun icon. And then that symbol means we shuffle back into the deck. Okay, one green. Let's do, we're going to try to exhaust one being. So I'm going to stop. Actually, I'm going to spend one spirit and one heart. So that's 2 committed, plus 1 is 3, in order to connect. So 3 plus 1, that's 4. So we have sent the Sitka-Do away by connecting with it. Okay, so at this point, we would rest. When you rest, if you were damaged, if you had taken any injuries, then for every wound you had or every injury you had, you would suffer 1 fatigue. We don't have any, so that doesn't happen. So we'd go back to refresh. Actually, we could travel. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So you may travel. If you do, remove all path cards in the play area, choose a new location, assemble the path deck with the new location. So the way this works is all the path cards, including our Sitka-Do, our Brambles, our Prowling Wolfhound, and then what's left in the deck. All of these would go away, but we have to see where we're traveling to. So we're going to Lone Tree Station from Ancestors Grove. We're no longer in the woods. We are going through Old Forest. So this deck goes away. Okay, so we have traveled now away from Ancestors Grove, and we are now heading toward Lone Tree Station through the old growth forest. So to make the path deck, we take the old growth forest and we shuffle it in. Oh, you know what? I did do one thing wrong. If you look on the map, some of the locations have this brown and yellow, what is it, an octagon? I guess it's an octagonal star or whatever. But those symbols are special locations, and they have their own little deck of cards. So if you're traveling to one of those, they have their own deck that you add in along with the path deck that represents the path you're traveling on. So in this case, we have the old growth forest. We'd also go find Lone Tree Station, their specific deck. If you were traveling to a regular location, that was just a regular diamond shape, you would just take 3 random cards from the valley, which is this set, and mix them in with the path that you're on, which in this case would be the woods. I'm going to fix that real quick. All right, and now I'm going to shuffle my pivotal location cards in with old growth forest cards to give me my new path deck. We go to the back of the location, Lone Tree Station. Arrival setup, search the path deck for the next predator and discard it. That's nice. So we're going to start flipping until we get a predator. That's prey. Okay, so that's Lone Tree Station. We draw a card. It is the Puffer Crawler, a being, a biomed of flora. If this being is attached to a role or a being with persistent, it gains persistent. All right, interesting. This one goes along the path, so it's not actually down too close to us. Okay, and we also need to go and read for Lone Tree Station's entry is entry number 2. Okay, and it says, Lone Tree Station. Visible for miles around, Lone Tree is a single enormous giga-redwood rising out of the thick grass of a high prairie. From far away, the tree is all you can see. But as you come closer, you can see the rest of the station. The large box garden plots hanging from the branches, the airship Swift moored to its dock in the tree's crown, the doors and windows carved into the trunk and peeking out from among the roots. Lone Tree Station has been the base of operations for the Rangers ever since the people came to the valley, and ever since you became a Ranger. It's been your home. Back to our prologue. You emerge from a line of trees and find yourself walking through a vast rolling field. In the distance, you see the towering form of Lone Tree Station rising against the clear blue sky, and on the breeze you smell the hint of something sweet. Is something baking? The prologue is nearly complete. Take some time to tidy up the play area, gather your deck discard pile, fatigue stack in hand into your ranger deck and set it aside. Gather the path cards and return them to their sets. Time to conclude the deck building by choosing your ranger's outside interest. Okay, so now we're supposed to choose from sets that we did not include in our deck before. So the other backgrounds and the other specialties. Yeah, that's cool. I like that one. Okay. Okay, it looks like we finished the prologue bit when we got to Lone Tree Station. So now we go into the main mission part. It says, to start your campaign, perform the first 4 steps of the setup on page 10 of the rule book, then return here for the remainder of the setup. So let's do that. All right, this is my aspect, my roll. My deck is going to be here. Draw starting hand, so draw 6 cards. Oh, that's kind of why I had those up a little bit. Let's do that. Let's bring these up just enough to where I can put my hand beneath. Okay, that's a little better. Shuffle the challenge deck. That's over here. Okay, I'm just going to put the challenge deck over here. So here's our surroundings. We have our location. We have our weather card. I'm going to rebuild our path deck. That goes away. So we're starting the campaign called The Lure of the Valley. It says, cresting the gentle grassy hill, you see the unmistakable silhouette of Lone Tree Station rise out of the highland plains before you. Lone Tree Station is aptly named, the single massive gigawood towers above the hills and swaying grass that surround it. You can just make out eaves and balconies among the gnarled bark, doors tucked into the winding roots, and hanging gardens suspended from branches. As you draw closer, a woman in a freshly pressed cloak steps out from the main entrance and waves. Calypsa, your mentor for the past 9 months, strides toward you with a man who looks just about your age at her heels. Hello, she calls out. You made it. Just look at you. She clasps your hands, her smile warm and her grip firm. I'm glad to finally have you here, she says. Then she turns. This is Cal Ivor. I trained Cal last year, right before I started training you. Cal Ivor gives you a nod in greeting. A pleasure, he says. Put the Lone Tree Station location into play in the surroundings. Okay, we've got that. Calypsa heads back to the station with you and Cal in tow. She speaks back over her shoulder. Please make yourself at home, explore the hanging gardens, find Spirit Speaker Nal and Cordo, and strike up a conversation. Get to know the place. After you spent some time here at the station, you should head over to White Sky, she says. In fact, High Pimpot has some juniper biscuits baking right now. His food is legendary around these parts. Once those biscuits are ready and you've had a chance to poke around, take a parcel over to White Sky and offer them to the people you meet. It's been at least a year since our neighbors have enjoyed the company of rangers bearing treats. She turns to look at Cal. What do you think, Cal? Good way to get started? Cal grins at you in a way that you can't quite describe as a sneer. Handing out baked goods? I think that's perfectly suited to their abilities, he says. All right, it says the Rangers choose. Tell Cal what he can do with his condescending attitude, or ignore him. I think we're going to go the high road and ignore him. Calypsa shakes her head and laughs. Oh, Cal, you're not long past delivering biscuits yourself. It's tradition, after all. Right, impress Calypsa on the campaign tracker. Okay, so what a bad copy that is. Okay. Our campaign tracker is a little cut off here. We're going to write impressed. Calypsa. Okay. All right, it says gain the biscuit delivery mission. Add it to the mission section of the campaign tracker. And put its card into play in the surroundings, which is up here. All right, we've added biscuit delivery. We've put the card into play. Card says, continuing a time-honored tradition, Calypso has tasked you with delivering biscuits to the people of White Sky as your first mission. Find High Pimpot at Lone Tree Station. He'll give you the biscuits and send you on your way. All right, during this mission, use 91 instead of the normal entries for High Pimpot, Cordo, Nal, and Quisavas. So in order to complete the mission, we have to travel away from Lone Tree Station with High Pimpot in play. And we do have a challenge effect of a sun on that card. Okay. We reset a perfect day. So it gets a 3. And we continue. It says, Calypso turns to you. Cal and I are heading out in the valley. We'll be on a shadow patrol, that is. We'll never be too far away from you for the next few weeks. You shouldn't need our help, of course, Cal says. I can tell by looking at you that you're more than capable. You shouldn't need our help, of course, Cal says. I can tell by looking at you that you're more than capable. Farewell for now, Calypso says, and starts down the eastern path away from Lone Tree. Spirits guide you. Follow your instinct. She and Cal walk steadily out of sight. Explore Lone Tree Station, defy High Pimpot, retrieve the Juniper Biscuits, and learn what to do next. All right, create the path deck by shuffling together the Woods and Lone Tree sets. Place it above the surroundings, then complete the initial setup by performing the setup steps on the back of the Lone Tree location card. Okay, so I believe we have Lone Tree with Old Growth. Okay, so this goes above. Everything looks like it's set. We go to the back of this card and do our setup. Okay, search the path deck for the next predator and discard it. There it is. Okay. So we get rid of that guy. Shuffle these back. Lead Ranger, draw one path card. Okay. Hey, how about that? It's High Pimpot. We did good. He comes all the way down to here, within reach, and we read 47, but it says here we read 91 instead. So we go to our book, and we're actually looking at these yellow numbers, not page numbers. And we look for 91. Biscuit delivery, 91.3. You come across a massive pile of diced and sliced vegetables, roots, and tubers. Occasionally, more slices fly through the air to land on top of the pile. Back already? A voice says from behind the vegetable pile. I told you there's no silverfin curry to be had until the fish is marinated for at least 3 hours. A head pokes out from behind the pile. Oh, it's you. I thought you were Elder Thrush. She gets so impatient on silverfin curry day. Calypso sent you for the biscuits, eh? They're just out of the oven. Let me know when you're ready to leave. We'll get you and those biscuits to the good people of White Sky straight away. It says travel away from Lone Tree Station with High Pimpot in play to complete the mission. He is friendly. He's a being. He's a human. He's a ranger. And since he's friendly, his presence will not impede us when we're trying to travel, which is good. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Now, that was just setting up the town. We haven't actually begun yet. So each ranger draws a path card. And we get a Sitka buck. He comes down here. And he just hangs out. He's not friendly. So he will work against us here. Okay, so we got High Pimpot and then a Sitka buck comes cruising around, which could be a problem. We'll see. So we could try to fight the buck. We could try to use our spirit to persuade the animal to leave, which feels much more rangerly. We could bring our dog out to start working on him that way too. Play a card, perform a test, or rest. He has a special ability, says awareness, and let's look up these symbols. Reason. Awareness and reason is the triangle. Is harvest. local plants for the stew to attach a flora face down to high. If there are 3 flora attached to high, he prepares his famous stew. Okay, fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and start out. I kind of like that the sheepdog can sort of help us put progress and influence on creatures. So I'm going to spend 2 spirit to play Oru the sheepdog down. He's a being, a companion, a mammal, and an expert. I'm going to exhaust to move the buck. When he moves, it adds 2 to it, 2 progress to it. Okay. I could traverse now, because the buck would still be in the way, because it's still between me and the location. I could try to avoid the buck. I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend 1. Let's just try it. Hey, +1 is 2. I'm trying to avoid this animal, and it exhausts it. It's successful, but I do have to use the ability here. So I go through, and it says if there is an active predator, exhaust it, add blank to this being equal to that predator's presence. So if the buck was active, it would have hurt high Pimpot, but because we'd already just exhausted it, he's okay. We did good. And then this shuffles back in. It's a shuffle symbol. So now we're going to try a test. We're going to do 2 fitness. Let's do +2. That's 4 fitness, or 4 committed energy to traverse. +1 is 5. That's pretty good. That gets us no fatigue. That's all we need there. So we put 5 on that. For now, we're good. We now resolve the effect. If Quissy Voss is not in the path, discard. She is drawn by baked goods. Search the valley set for Quissy and put her into play. I don't remember if this is good or bad. But let's see. Let's find Quissy. Quissy Voss is a rascal. I think there's our answer. She comes into play right here. She's fatiguing, friendly, and persistent. Have to see. And again, we go to entry 91 instead of the one that's listed on there. All right, enters play. Quissy Rascal, go to 91.4. It says, you feel a tug on your backpack and turn to see a young girl suddenly walking beside you. Hi, she says. Do you smell something? Is High Pimpot baking this famous juniper biscuits? Can I have one? Which way to the kitchen? It says, clear Quissy with progress to help her find the kitchen. So we just have to clear her. I'm going to look up what is the keyword fatiguing. See if it tells us. Fatiguing is on 26. Normally, if they're friendly, you don't have to worry about fatigue. When you rest, if this card is ready and is equipped within reach or along the way, you suffer fatigue equal to its presence. If it's followed by an effort, suffer that much. So it doesn't fatigue you when you interact with other things, but when you rest, it does. Okay, so Quissy Voss, Rascal. So that was this one. If hers comes into play, it doesn't affect anything because we don't have any of those plant, insect, or gear out. Okay, so that's it for that. And now we could travel now. Let's do this. I think we need to kind of get rid of her. She's going to fatigue us. I'm going to spend... She is a being. I could exhaust her. That would keep her from... I'm going to do just a spirit. +1 is 2. That's going to put 2 on her. And that is, let me get the names of these things right. That is a crest symbol. And the crest symbol, if there is an active predator, exhaust it. There is not. If there is an active predator, exhaust it. There is not. Okay, and then we shuffle this back in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a focus to remember. +1 is 2, so that is 2 cards we get to see. 1, 2. Wow, that's good for avoiding things. I'm going to put both of these on the bottom. And then we get to draw 1. There we go. Okay. Now we can travel if we want. Let's say we go ahead and travel. So to travel, if the location has progress equal to or exceeding its threshold, you may travel. If you do, remove all path cards from the play area, choose a new location, and assemble the path deck for the new location. Okay, so here is where we get to plan. Let us take out our map here. We are heading to White Sky. We are currently at Lone Tree Station, so the obvious route here is along the lake shore, which is this symbol here. So we are going to take and get rid of these cards. She is persistent, so she's going to stay with us. He is, in this case, he is persistent because of the mission. Okay, so now to travel, we end up taking the Lakeshore set, mixing it with the White Sky location set, mixing it together. Okay, and we then go straight to the setup for the location. It says... Arrival setup, we read entry number 3. From your vantage point, you can see much of the southern shore of White Sky Lake, from the froth of rapids at the head of the Silverfin River to the mix of rocky promontories and pebble-strewn beaches that slowly curve around toward the opposite shore. There you see the village of White Sky and the tiny forms of villagers going about their business on the platforms and docks. We have an ability here. It's awareness plus connection to search the shores beside the towering parasols of White Sky to scout path cards equal to your effort, then draw 1 path card. Kind of the same thing that my Sparrowhawk lets me do. Yep. Exact same, except it uses connection instead of reason. Okay, so now we've traveled. I have to take 1 path card and put it in play. It is, a predator. So we have carnivorous naiad. It is a water predator, or water plant predator. It says you cannot remove your ranger token except with the following test. Something's going to happen that can cause you to get stuck there, and then you have to get yourself out. Whew, that's pretty rough. It's got 6 and 9 as the threshold numbers. Okay, so we just came in. We are actually at the refresh now. Ready all cards. Each ranger regains all energy and draws 1 ranger card. Okay, healing touch. We did travel away. We have to go ahead and read High Pimpots. High Pimpot places the last juniper biscuit into the basket and hands it to you. There's no better way to begin a friendship than with a freshly baked biscuit, he says. The people of White Sky just love meeting new rangers. They always come bearing treats. He winks and takes a biscuit for himself. You shoulder the basket and walk down the trail toward White Sky. As you do, the enticing aroma of the biscuits wafts up from the basket. You remember that you haven't eaten anything since breakfast. Your stomach growls. Surely they won't miss one or two. Flip the biscuit delivery mission to the biscuit basket side. Then choose a ranger to equip it. Okay, so now we have a basket of biscuits. And let me make some room here. We will equip it. So something else to point out here. There are these little pips on gear, and you're only allowed to have a total of 5 points worth of gear at any time in play. So the basket takes up 2, and let's see. It starts off with 3 biscuits, and it says I can give a biscuit to move 1 biscuit to a human that does not have a biscuit on them and add 4 progress to them. Or I can do awareness and reason to sneak a biscuit to soothe 3 fatigue and move 1 biscuit to your roll. Once you have 0 biscuits on this gear, read this. Okay, so that's cool. Well, I think Quissy Voss needs a biscuit for sure. It's got to be a human. I can't feed the dog. And I guess High Pimpot, he wouldn't have, since he's part of Lone Tree Station, he wouldn't have actually have gone with us there. He would have stayed behind. Okay. Just getting the order of all this stuff is a little crazy. That was refreshed, so the dog is refreshed as well. Okay. We didn't rest, and she only fatigues us, I believe, when we rest. Okay, you have to rest in order to travel. So she would have fatigued us once. Okay, so you can't travel until you rest at least once. Okay, so we're ready to go now. We have, you got to get 3 on here if we wanted to travel away. We can search to kind of set up the path deck however we want. Immediately, our mission is to get rid of these biscuits. So let's do that. I'm going to spend 1 for Calming Presence. That's an attachment. It says attached to a predator. Attached card loses the predator trait. For a challenge effect on the attached card would resolve, you may discard 2 from it to cancel the effect. Okay, so that's one of these. So it's no longer a predator. That should help. Okay. Oh, and we lost some clouds. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 plus 1. I'm committing 3 spirits in order to give a biscuit. I need to get at least a 2. So we got 4, so that's plenty. Move 1 biscuit to human. So, bloop, she gets a biscuit. And that adds 4, so that puts it at 6. So that ends up clearing that. So she is gone, which is good. Actually, I really like the staff. I'm going to spend 2 fitness to play the staff. It's the Orland hiking staff. I have to remember I'm currently at 4 encumbrance. I can exhaust it to use 1 stride. It comes with 3 strides. To add 1 progress to a trail. White Sky is a trail. Okay, and this guy lets me survey, but I can already do that. I'm going to spend 2 awareness in order to do these. Oh, I forgot. I didn't do this one. Okay, so if your blank is on a water feature, the Naiad stabs you with its teeth, suffer 1 injury. It's not, so nothing happens. Yeah, so I'm doing 2 awareness to do a search here to modify the path deck. -1 is only 1, and we suffer 2 fatigue. Nope, here's what we can do. Exhaust when you perform a test to dodge 1 card, so we don't suffer the fatigue, but it only puts, yeah, so that's only 1 success, so we get to look at 1 card. This is a layer. Let's go ahead and put that on the bottom. I don't see that being very good. And then I think we have to draw 1 path card. Oh, and it's the critter that belongs in that layer. So he comes down here, he's a predator. And it's got ambush, which I believe causes automatic fatigue. When a card with the ambush keyword enters play within reach or moves within reach of a ranger, it fatigues the ranger. Yes, and it's based on the presence number in the top right corner. Equal to the presence. Okay. And it's another red one. Ignore that. If there is other active romping lutrinals, exhaust each of them and this being and suffer 1 injury. There aren't other ones. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust this. Use 1 stride to put 1 progress on white sky. We kind of need to find another human. So we are going to go ahead probably and refresh at this point, or rest at this point. So we've done everything that we want to do. So we're going to rest. So nothing really happens since we're not injured. And then we go to refresh. Ready all cards. So everything stands back up. These come back on. You draw a ranger card. After you succeeded a test in which you committed this attribute, you may suffer 1 fatigue to gain 1 energy of any type. Okay, so now we go ahead and we draw a path card. Path card is fresh blue kelpweed. It is a feature of flora and water, and it comes down. I'm going to keep my stuff and their stuff separate, I guess. Comes down right here. And focus and reason is wrap the pungent leaves around a wound to add 1 wound to this feature and either heal 1 injury from a ranger or discard 2 injuries from a being. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust the pup. That's going to move this creature up and place 2 connection points on him. Yeah, I'm going to do Spirit 3. And we're going to try to connect. So, plus that's still 3. No fatigue. That's going to add 3, which brings him up to 5, which is enough. So we convince him to run along and go away. Then we have to resolve the crest. If your blank is on a water feature, then it taps you with its teeth, suffer an injury. It's not, so no problem. Okay. Now let's go ahead. There's nothing in between us. Oh no, this is still between us and the objective. And it's not a being, so we can't avoid it. It's a feature. Well, we could... Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a traverse action. I'm going to spend 2 plus 1 is 3. I'm going to commit 3 fitness. 0, so 3. I'm going to tap her to dodge this card. So that's going to put 3 on there. That brings it up to 4, which will be enough to travel when we're ready. Okay, the ranger with the most fatigue must discard 1 awareness or move their blank to this feature. Okay, so I can discard 1 awareness. I don't want to get stuck there. All right, I'm going to do focus. 1 minus 1 is 0 focus, so I don't get to draw any card. It does trigger the mountain. That doesn't do anything. If there's a romping lutrinal within reach, it escapes. There's not. Nothing happens there. That should have ticked down to 1 last time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rest and then refresh. So all of this comes back. Everything stands up. This flips over. And now it is a midday sun with 0 clouds. Refresh, we add 1 cloud till there are 3, then it flips over again. We can focus and locate 2 to find shade, add a cloud, and soothe 1 fatigue. All right. Going to draw a card. Phonoscopic headset. When Ranger Scouts increase the number of cards scouted by 1. And we also take a new path card, which is a tributary stream. It goes in a place up here. There's an obstacle. Okay, that's just another trap, basically. I don't like this. I'm going to spend a focus to put this out here. When a Ranger Scouts increase the number of cards scouted by 1. I'm going to do it. 2 awareness. I don't have any hearts. I'm going to tap her to avoid this, so I'll only take 1 fatigue. And here we go. 2 minus 1 is only 1. So I get to see 1 card. Hey, it's a human. She's friendly. And then I will draw a card. We're bringing her in. Human villager, Vera Lake Guide, 49. Let's see what she does. All right, it says a massive muscular arm drops over your shoulder and you find yourself face to face with a tall woman wearing a thin smile. Hello there, the woman says. Name's Vera. I make supply runs all over the lake. She sniffs. Something in your bag sure smells good. Mind sharing? Clear Vera with progress to charter her boat to immediately travel to any location on White Sky Lake. The locations on White Sky Lake are Golden Shore or White Sky. So I guess it would just take you over to Golden Shore. Not sure that's something I want to do, but I will give her a biscuit. We are going to test of 2. I'm going to spin 3. Oh, wait. Hold on. Did it again. Here we go. The ranger with the most fatigue must discard 1 awareness or move their token to this feature. I'm stuck there now. And then I can try to pull myself free to remove it from the feature. She helps you discard water obstacles. That's cool. I just make sure that's the only one. Oh, suffer 1 fatigue because of the hot sun. And then we get stuck there in the weeds. Looks like that's it. I'm going to spin 3. Minus 1 is 2. We still passed with a 2 to give her a biscuit. That gives her 4, which gets rid of her. Move down the shore to find Vera clearing the deck of her longboat. She looks up and sighs. You ready? You may immediately end the round and travel to one of the following locations: Lone Tree Station, Golden Shore, or Atrix Mountain. Okay, or we just can ignore it. We're just going to ignore it and discard her. Okay, and then that was a mountain. So if there's a romping lutrinal, there's not. That's all that we have. So we got rid of that. Now we could actually sneak our own biscuit to get rid of the last one. We just have to refresh our turn. Let's see if we can pull ourselves free. So I'm doing the fitness and pull 2. I'm going to add 1 here. Pull yourself free of the constricting lakeweed to add a damage to this feature equal to your fit aspect and remove your blank from the feature. All right, so this is 3 plus 1 is 4. So I'm putting damage of 2 on it because it's equal to my fitness, not my commitment. But I do get to remove that back. Okay, and that was a crest. If your blank is on a water feature, hey, and it's no longer there. Sweet. Okay, and then we shuffle. All right, I think we're good here because now I can rest. I'll do 1 more turn. Eat a biscuit. And then I'll have to travel, I guess. It says the people of White Sky, so I might have to get rid of them before I leave White Sky. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and rest and then refresh. Ready all cards. Gain. Now I get a cloud. That's all good. Draw a card. These come back on. We take a path. It is a romping lutrinal with 1 fatigue for the ambush. Let's do this. I'm going to do focus 1. Focus 1, 0, so it's 1. I get to, because of my goggles, exhaust when a ranger scouts, increase the number of cards scouted by 1. So I get to scout 2. So 1, 2. This is real good. I'm going to put this on the bottom, this on the top, and draw this one. Okay, and then we resolve another sun, so I fatigue 1 for the heat. Oh man, I did it again. I gotta spend 1. There's another in play. It frolics among the reeds, move it within reach. There's not another one within play. I'm gonna exhaust my dog. I'm gonna move the lutrinal up. That's gonna put 2 connection on it. All right. Now I need to eat the biscuit, but I just got rid of one of my awareness, which makes it hard. I'm going to try it. 1 plus this heart is 2. Come on, yeller, plus 1. Nice. So that's 3. Okay. So I ate the biscuit. We're going to read 1.02, and then we remember to resolve the challenge symbol. All right, it says, with an empty basket, you continue down the path until you come across Calypso and Cal resting beside a bubbling stream. Calypso gestures toward the basket. How did it go, she asks. You tell her of the people you met in your travels today and how each was appreciative of High Pimpot's bakery. Calypso stands and makes a show of studying you closely. And no crumbs? I'm impressed, Cal. I believe this settles our bet. He figured you would have snuck a few for yourself. Cal looks at you suspiciously. You need to learn to live a little, he says. Complete the biscuit delivery mission and return the biscuit basket to the collection. Each ranger soothes 2 fatigue, then go to 1.03. Okay, so on my sheet, I would just scratch out biscuit delivery. I would return this to the missions. Okay. And it says, from down the path comes the sound of melodic whistling. Before long, a man wearing many layers of cloaks and walking with the aid of an ornate conduit follows. As he passes, he tips his wide-brimmed hat in your direction. Good day to you, friends. Good day, Master Isle. Calypso replies, lone trees hanging gardens are thirsty. They'll be grateful for some rain. Fear not, my dear Calypso, for there is no shaper more skilled at stirring the clouds than I. By the time you return, those gardens will be thoroughly satiated. With that, the shaper continues down the path. He resumes his whistling as he passes from sight. Cal shakes his head. That fool is overly impressed by his own abilities, he says. Trouble will come of it, mark my words. Calypso nods and turns to you. It's time you should be on your way, she says. The village elders often have tasks that require the help of the rangers. I recommend that you seek them out on your travels. I know also that Cordo would like some help dealing with the caustic mulcher that roams the woodlands. I'm not sure what he has in mind, but you can seek him out at Lone Tree Station if you're interested. Farewell. With that, Calypso and Cal disappear into the forest, leaving you to explore the valley on your own. What you do now is entirely up to you. You could, for example, spend time exploring the different path types to familiarize yourself with the flora and fauna, or you could travel to pivotal locations on the map and delve into the path deck to find people in need of assistance and missions to complete. Take your time. You will be called upon if there's an emergency. Now you may end the day or continue playing. All right. We're going to go ahead and stop it here for now, just to see that that's kind of the gist of the game. You go around, you kind of encounter. Sometimes you have to deal with the creatures. Sometimes you have to figure out some puzzles to clear obstacles and creatures. You can receive rewards for doing things. I think it said each ranger soothes 2 fatigue. So we would take 2 of our fatigue and flip them into our hand as a reward, basically, or as a boon. So it's an interesting game, and it's got a lot of potential just in the design space and the way the AI interacts. It seems somewhat sophisticated for a card-based AI system. It's multi-layered, and it creates its own little autonomous system that's sort of playing out alongside whatever it is that you're trying to do. Sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hinders you. That's very interesting, but the most unique aspect of this game, I think, is just the fact that sandbox to the point that you don't have a singular quest even. It's not like a video game where you have your main quest that you're pursuing and then doing side quests. You're just exploring and or doing side quests. I don't think there is a central narrative. That being said, there is something very peaceful and enjoyable about setting this up and going through it solo. And I've read online, a lot of people say that it actually plays better with multiple players because you can interact and play off of each other's the distance aspect a little bit better. You can draw creatures away from people who don't need them and draw them to people who can handle them, just using those distance dynamics to your advantage. All right, I've decided to go ahead and cut the video there. So thank you so much if you hung in this long. It was a long video. Please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. I think I'm going to be painting the 4 figures that came with this game real soon. That'll probably be my next video release. Thank you and take care.